I'm very scared, this woman says, but this is a very important right that I have to do. God bless the souls of those who are killed. The injured and the dead are from many nationalities, and witnesses say they include young children. Among the survivors is Wa'el Abdallah from Egypt.
People were falling and then being trampled. Women were screaming. One threw her little child on top of a tent. It was indescribable.
The stampede happened around 3 miles from Mecca, in the tented city of Mina. It appears to have begun when tightly packed crowds of pilgrims converged at this junction. Some there have blamed road closures and poor management of the vast flows of people. Over the past decade, the Saudis have invested large sums of money in improving safety after a string of disasters. They're blaming pilgrims for not following official instructions. But King Salman has ordered a review of how the Hajj is organised. An investigation has also been ordered, as Iran, which lost over 130 people, accuses the authorities of incompetence and inexcusable negligence. A protest was staged in Tehran today, demonstrators shouting death to the Saudi dynasty. Iran is Saudi Arabia's main rival in the Middle East. Its supreme leader has called on the Saudis to take responsibility for the tragedy, and Iran wants a role in the inquiry. Saudi Arabia's guardianship of Islam's holiest sites is a source of great prestige for the kingdom. But it's now facing growing criticism and pressure to explain exactly what happened. Caroline Hawley, BBC News.
It's one of the most feared diseases in the world. Now polio has moved a significant step closer to being eradicated. Nigeria has gone more than a year without any cases. The World Health Organization has removed it from the list of endemic countries, meaning transmission of the disease there has been stopped. Polio is spread by poor sanitation and contaminated water. 30 years ago, 125 countries were affected and thousands of children were paralysed each year by the virus. Until now, there were 3 countries, Pakistan, Afghanistan and Nigeria, where polio was endemic. Now, there remain just 2. Our medical correspondent Fergus Walsh reports from Kano in northern Nigeria.
Polio leaves its mark for life. These men will never be cured. Once healthy legs are left paralysed when the virus attacks the nerves. But polio can be prevented with just a few drops of this vaccine. Many families used to turn away the immunisation teams, and at one stage the vaccine was banned here after claims it was a Western plot to make Muslims infertile. Umar was one of those who missed out. Here he is 10 years ago. Now, aged 13, his right leg remains partially paralysed. His father, also a polio sufferer, welcomes the shift in public attitudes.
About 10 years ago, any house, if you go to 10 house, 3 house only they are accepted. 7 house they are not accepted. But now the whole 10 they are agreeing about this one.
There's a carnival atmosphere as the vaccine teams go through villages, handing out sweets. This mark shows a child has received the drops.
Was shot dead here in Kano by extremists opposed to immunisation. Instead of being a deterrent, the shootings galvanised support. The government declared polio a national health emergency and piled in resources and people. What message do you give to the mothers to tell them to have their children immunised?
I keep telling mothers that only healthy children can add to the development of Nigeria. And all the soldiers that are now doing good, dealing with Boko Haram so that we'll have peace in this country, none of them is having polio.
Nigeria, like the rest of the world, is now switching to an injectable polio vaccine because it's safer. There are so many challenges facing Africa's children, from malaria to malnutrition. Getting rid of polio would mean one less disease to fear.
It hurts my heart when I go out and I see these people that they've been damaged for the rest of their life because it's irreversible. And I think that's the big milestone for this program, and the investments that we are doing in polio could be invested to get more children in school.
Nigeria has not had a new case for over a year, but it needs 3 years without infections before it can be declared polio-free. So it is far too early to celebrate. But for the first time, the prospect of eradicating polio from Nigeria, and indeed the whole of Africa, seems a real possibility. Fergus Walsh, BBC News, Kano.
Saturday marks 1 year since 43 students disappeared from a town in the southern Mexican state of Guerrero. Their disappearance provoked protests on the streets as people vented their anger over government corruption and violence in the country. But a year on, there's no clear answer as to what happened to the students. One Argentinian artist is trying to keep their memory alive with a new exhibition featuring 50 photographs that all carry one message. Katie Watson has the story.
It all started with this, a class photo from 1967 at a school in Buenos Aires. Among the students is artist Marcelo Brodsky. 30 years after this was taken, he wanted to find out what had happened to his classmates. 2, it turns out, had disappeared during the military dictatorship of the 1970s and 80s, and a total of 110 from the school.
In Argentina, we had 30,000 missing. One of them is my brother, Fernando, who disappeared in August 14th, 1979. We never heard back of him. So our families, our society has deeply felt what missing means.
The school photo was a way of narrating the story of the disappearances in his generation. When 43 students disappeared in the Mexican state of Guerrero last year, it revived the memory of Argentina's enforced disappearances.
When somebody dies, you bury him, you overcome it. When there is a disappearance, it's completely different. It's worse in a way than death, because it's permanent. It's a crime that continues.
Argentina's mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, who searched for their children who disappeared during the dictatorship, used photos during marches to keep their children's faces visible. It's a method that's been repeated by the parents of the Mexican students. Even as public interest in the students' disappearance has waned, it's photography that Marcelo says keeps the memory alive. For the past year, he's encouraged social groups and schools from across the world to reproduce different images in solidarity with the students. Official figures in Mexico put the number of missing at more than 23,000. Although the context of Argentina's disappearances is different, the solution doesn't have to be.
If the Mexican state, with international support, wants justice, wants to investigate seriously, the Mexican state can. Because the Mexican state is responsible for the security and for the life of its inhabitants. It is the state that has to grant security.
The exhibition's final photo was taken at the Rural College of Ayotzinapa, the school that the disappeared students attended. The project has come full circle, but the call for action hasn't stopped. Katie Watson, BBC News, Mexico.
Now, the First Ladies of China and the United States managed to get away from the serious world of global politics for a brief time when they visited one of the newest additions to a Washington zoo. Michelle Obama and Madam Peng Liyuan joined schoolchildren at the National Zoo to unveil the name of a 5-week-old giant panda, now called Bai Bai, which means precious treasure. The president's wives chose the name and untied a pair of yellow scrolls to reveal it in both English and Mandarin Chinese, with help from children from a Chinese elementary school. The theme tunes to the Bond films have become almost as iconic as the movies themselves, so it's no wonder that artists are lining up to write them. Sam Smith has released his much-anticipated Spectre theme tune, Writings on the Wall, which apparently took him just 20 minutes to write. Have a little listen and see if you think it was worth it. Well, that is it, and the former Bond actor Sir Roger Moore called it a very haunting and wonderfully orchestrated piece. But other Twitter users have been, well, less complimentary, with one describing it as the worst Bond theme ever. Seems a bit harsh. Here's the weather with Matt Taylor.
Good morning. At long last, the weekend is upon us, and like last weekend, high pressure is set to dominate. It's centred quite nicely across the UK, keeping all these weather fronts at bay in the Atlantic, but with winds light around the centre of that high pressure system, it's leading to some rather chilly nights, chilly mornings, a little bit of fog around to begin with. Most of that, though, clears, and through the afternoons, you can just about all expect at least a little bit of warm sunshine. But as we start Saturday, away from the towns and cities, temperatures across central southern areas in particular will fall down to around 2 or 3 degrees, but rising quite smartly under sunny conditions overhead. A lovely crisp fresh start to Saturday, in fact. Enough of a breeze towards the south coast to keep the fog at bay. A bit further north, though, this is where we can see some fog patches linger through some river valleys for a time, but lots of sunshine away from that. A bit more cloud, Northern England and Scotland. Maybe a bit of a grey start for you here and there. Northern Ireland, the overnight cloud breaking up quite nicely, sunshine coming through. And even the cloud we see across Scotland and Northern England will gradually shift and clear. Brighter skies pushing in from the west today. If it's going to be grey for longest, likely to be eastern Scotland and parts of northeast England. Now, the cloud could just be conceivably a little bit thick in 1 or 2 spots to produce the odd light shower, but very, very few in number. The majority of you stay dry through the day. In the sunshine, light winds, pleasantly warm by the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid to high teens quite widely. And the cloud we see bubble up during the day, just convective cloud, melts away into the evening. That'll lead to a rather cool evening. Temperatures around 14, 15 degrees at Twickenham for the start of the match between England and Wales in the World Cup. Big match, of course. By the time you leave the stadium, though, a good deal cooler. And that's because high pressure stays in charge Saturday night into Sunday. A little bit further east, the centre, and that means central and eastern areas most prone to some mist and fog and some of the lowest temperatures. But just about anywhere, certainly clear skies in Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England, compared with what we've got at the moment. A chillier start to Sunday morning. Now, as I said, it's parts of Wales, the Midlands, northeast England, most prone to some mist and fog around. Takes to mid-morning to clear 1 or 2 spots, but most should clear. Lots of sunshine once again. A bright day, eastern Scotland, northeast England. A bit more cloud the northwest of Scotland. A weather front here could just bring the odd spot of rain towards the Hebrides. It may just hold a little bit further west, though, so there's a chance that it could stay predominantly dry, and temperatures similar to those of Saturday. Into next week, high pressure still with us. Just to the east of the UK, could let weather fronts just fringe the far northwest of Scotland, but for most of you, we stick with the story of some cool, misty mornings, although in the south, a bit more of a breeze to keep the mist at bay, but some dry, sunny afternoons. Take care.